And we're back. This is Hook and Ladder, Week 15, championship game weekend. Let's go and get started there, BrettMine.com. Boise State took on UNLV, and Boise State won 21-7. This game was pretty much no scoring in the second half. It was, 21-7 at the end of the second quarter, and that's kind of how it finished.
Yeah, Madsden didn't look too good in the second half. He actually didn't look good. Kind of had a stretch between the mid-second quarter through like the fourth, where he just was off throwing the football. But you only had Genty. Mm-hmm. And Ashton Genty went for 200 yards and a touchdown. Pretty much was running, I'd say, between 4 and 7 yards a clip for the most part. He looked really good. UNLV played well. I thought their defense played very well. They got a lot of transfers. One of the most notable guys is 5-star corner Tony Grimes, out of, I think, Charlotte or something like that. Everybody wanted him in the SEC and the ACC. Ended up going to North Carolina, transferred. I don't know if he went to UNLV or if he transferred somewhere else and then transferred to UNLV. But he was there. He played well. They just didn't really have the horses offensively for Boise State. Boise State's got a really good group of tight ends, 2 really good tight ends. Of course, Genty. They've got some good wide receivers. Their defense is lights out. I mean, that's a fast, swarming defense who does a lot of TFLs. It's really hard to get outside of them. So I've watched him a bunch of times this year because I wanted to watch Genty. Yeah. Now, not really going to get too much into the Heisman thing, but he's got my vote. Mm-hmm. They had Heisman signs and everything, like professionally done signs at the game. It was at Boise State. I don't know who said this, but it came out later on that night. It said, if you take Travis Hunter and you put him on Boise State, is he good enough to make Boise State a playoff team? And I didn't think so. I mean, they're able to control clock because of Genty. And I thought that was a really good point. Now, I still don't think he's going to win it. I still think Travis Hunter's going to win it. But that's a really good point to think about.
I think the late money's on Genty to actually pull this thing out. I've seen a lot of hype towards him the past week or so.
Really?
But then again, Travis Hunter didn't play this past weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Genty
yeah.
Did. Moving right along. Army took on Tulane. Army won 35-14. I watched the first 10 minutes of this game, and Army was just running them out of the stadium.
Yeah, I thought Tulane would have a little something more for them. I was watching this game as well. I had my nephew was spending the night at the house with us. He is a lieutenant in the Army, and he was moving from a base in Oklahoma to Fort Stewart here in Georgia. So he spent the night with us. So we were watching that game because. So most of the guys on the team are friends of his or his unit or whatever. Yeah. So he was watching that game, very interested. I was mainly watching the Boise State game, but I did watch a good bit of that game. I gotta say, the quarterback for Army, he's got to be in New York. I mean, that dude, they were showing his statistics of no other quarterback's done this.
25 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, this, and he was just you can hit him with whatever you got, and that dude just gets up like he's not even phased.
He's almost like Tebow, but the Army version.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, mini Tebow.
Jacksonville State, we ain't got many games this week, so we'll talk about them too. Jacksonville State knocked off Western Kentucky 52-12. I don't think you've seen any.
Didn't see any of this game. Didn't even know they were playing.
That's right. Well, let's talk about Saturday's matchups, and I guess we'll get started with number 1 versus 3, Oregon versus Penn State. Oregon knocked off Penn State 45-37. Oregon, number 1 seed.
Yeah, for the most part of this game, Oregon was 2 scores ahead of Penn State. But I got to give Penn State credit. As much crap as I've given them this year, they played well. They had an offensive game plan that I haven't seen from them this season. They were blowing teams out that they should blow out, just out-talenting people. Yeah. But in this game, they couldn't do that. So they had a really good scheme, really good game plan. They gave that tight end, it was number 44 or 48. I can't remember the number, but you guys know who he is. They had a really good game plan for him to get the football into that guy's hand in so many different ways possible. He took snaps and ran it. He caught passes. I think they handed it to him a few times. Played really well. I was expecting this to be maybe Oregon scored 45. Yeah. I was expecting to be 45-20. But Penn State came to play.
It was a lot closer matchup than you would actually expect.
Yes, and of course Oregon, for the most part, they were a little bit too fast for them. Everybody gives Penn State's defense a lot of credit. I mean, they're good against Ohio State for the most part, but I kind of felt the way Oregon's offense runs, it was really difficult for them to kind of make hay and stop it.
Talk about the SEC championship game. Georgia knocked off Texas 22-19 in overtime. Gutsy performance by UGA.
Yeah, I mean, the first half ends at 6-3, and you look at the stat sheet, and Quinn Ewers has over 200 yards passing. Dominant performance by Ewers, but he had the 2 interceptions in the game. Of course, one came in the second half, which I'm sure we'll discuss in a minute. They had a lot of plays that were called back for holding. And, you know, the Facebook people, like the dumbest people on earth, it's not even worth going on Facebook to talk football because none of these people know what the hell they're talking about. They even said it on the telecast. Not a single one of these penalties. I mean, Sarkisian was just kind of like mad, but like he wasn't flipping out that it was a bad call like he did for the pass interference the first time these teams met. Yeah. Kirk Herbstreit even said it. When they run the type of plays they run, they go a lot to the outside, those offensive linemen kind of get caught holding a good bit. And they were calling it. They had a pick play. I think their first drive, they were trying to go for a touchdown. Their wide receiver was called for a pick play. I mean, these are not bad calls. These are every single day, every game of the season type of calls. It wasn't like they weren't letting them play. There was some PI of both teams that they were letting go, but they weren't letting holding go. And I was kind of shocked because I felt the first game, just like this game, Georgia had 6 sacks tied in the SEC game record. They were harassing Ewers all game. The Georgia Bulldogs defensive line was playing so good with stopping the run. They averaged 2.9 yards carry. They were shutting Texas's run game down. But Ewers was throwing the football at them. They just kept making penalties. They had a boatload of penalties. They had illegal hands to the face when they were on defense. They stopped Georgia, but it was legal hands to the face, gave them a first down. So they were kind of giving Georgia opportunities when Georgia's offense really needed it. They were not looking good at all. They couldn't run the football. Their guys couldn't catch. Season-long problem for those wide receivers. But they started to kind of get slowly back into it. That second to last drive before Beck got hurt on the last drive of the first half.
They were moving the ball down.
They were moving the football down the field. They even had a chance for a touchdown. The wide receiver dropped it. They kick a field goal.
Man, there were at least 4 or 5 drops in that game.
Oh, yeah, easy. Yeah, and both
situations.
Teams were dropping passes. I think Wingo dropped 2. The tight end dropped 1. The difference between the two teams dropped passes. Texas's drop passes were a lot of short gains that probably wouldn't have made a first down anyway. Georgia had some drop passes that were like, some chunk plays. Arian Smith dropped the first down, easy first down inside the red zone. Maybe could have had a touchdown that drive. Yep. He dropped later in the game, he dropped a beautiful throw by Beck late in the second quarter. Right in his hands on a deep ball. Would have brought him again inside the red zone. Just went right through his hands. Kirk Herbstreit mentioned he doesn't seem like a natural pass catcher. As good as an athlete as he is. But second half, Georgia came out with the new quarterback because Beck went down with a arm injury. Yeah. And the backup guy, he didn't look good. He wasn't really throwing the football down the field very well. But they had a lot of dink and dunks. Yep. And First the drive. Aspect of him running it, they kind of got back in the game, started taking a lead. Ewers still playing well. Threw another interception.
Didn't see Arch Manning much.
No, he came in for one play. And they snapped it between his legs. That was brilliant, by the way. They snapped it between the legs on a 4th down. That was a great play. And they came in overtime. So Georgia picked off Ewers and could have had the game sealed. Stockton for the backup for Georgia. Throws an interception. Should have been returned for a touchdown. But homeboy wanted to turn around and celebrate with his buddy and didn't see the Georgia guy coming to tackle him. He makes that block. Game over. Yep. You just did a pick 6. But they gets tackled. They drive down the field. Georgia stops them. They got in the red zone, I think, like 7 times. And they ended up getting...
Was it 2 missed field goals?
They missed 2 field goals and made 3. And I think the touchdown was from outside the red zone that they had. But, they end up tying the game, goes to overtime. Once again, Georgia's defense bows up, forces a field goal. And then Georgia, I think it was 3rd down in like 8 or more. Because they had a holding penalty on a real nice run play. They had a holding penalty. And I thought they were playing good in overtime. They were calling some plays to the tight end. Just getting 8-9 chunks per play. The holding comes. They end up getting third down. They run it with the Stockton kid. Right up the gut, first down. He gets killed. Oh, my God. Helmet pops off, slow motion. The face he made as he's going to the ground. Knees like buckled behind him. I thought his knee was done. He pops up like, oh, helmet came off. I got to go out the field. Carson Beck comes in. So they review targeting. It's not targeting. It was a good call. Yeah. That was not targeting. It was with the shoulder. But first and goal from the 4. Here comes Beck. Arm limp. Like he can't do shit. And if you look at the game, he's going on the center. He's trying to put his mouthpiece in. He can't get his arm up to put the damn mouthpiece in. One-handed hands it touchdown, touchdown, game over. I think Texas, I'm not going to say they outplayed Georgia because I don't think they did. Georgia's defense was dominant. But Texas played well enough to win. Yeah. You missed 2 field goals. You had plenty of opportunities. Georgia had opportunities themselves. They didn't capitalize. The story of the game, though, to me, was Georgia's defense. Just like the story of the first meeting was Georgia's defense. So, thought it was a great game. Yeah.
They left it on the field. Yeah,
and I watched this entire game because, like the first game we talked about, Oregon, Penn State, that was a night game with Clemson, SMU. So I had 2 games to kind of flip back and forth.
So speaking of Clemson, SMU, Clemson knocked off SMU 34-31. I probably stopped watching this game by halfway through the third quarter. And I was like, this is kind of over with.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson was beating the crap out of them. SMU had turnovers. They had drops. Guys who were shorthanded were dropping passes. Fourth quarter, all of a sudden, they come on. 17 points. Tie ball game. Clemson marches down the field, kicks like a 60 freaking yard. It wasn't 60, but it was in the 50s. But it was a long-ass field goal. Got to give Clemson credit. They got it done when... I'm sure every Clemson fan in America was like, oh no, we're Clemsoning. You got 17 points in the fourth, right? Yeah. And this was a costly game for Clemson. Maffa went down with a shoulder injury. The backup running back for Clemson went down, which I think was an ACL injury. Or at least significant enough the way it looked that he's going to be done for a while. But they're in the playoffs, as is SMU, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. But great game. Who would have thought? I mean, everybody had Clemson down and out, and then Miami can't handle their shit. They lose to Syracuse. With the Georgia game, Alabama can't handle it against Oklahoma. They lose. Ole Miss can't handle it against Florida. 2 teams that should have won their games. They can't handle it. Georgia's in. Now they're SEC champions. Same thing with Clemson. Everybody thought it was Miami this, Miami that all year long. Miami can't handle their business. Clemson's like, thank you very much. Yep. They're now ACC champions. Got to give SMU credit. I mean, they are a good football team. I think it was a case of the first 3 quarters, the lights were a little too bright for them. They weren't ready for it. And then they realized, oh, shit, man, we're in this game. Yeah. Let's go. And then they rattle off 17 points.
Just ran out of time. It happens. Happens to the best of them. Yeah. Maybe next time. They're still alive. They're in the playoffs. So moving right along. Arizona State knocked off Iowa State 45-19. Arizona State's a good football team.
They're a really good football team. Absolute bloodbath down in Dallas. Took me, I'm ashamed that it took me, almost 2 full quarters to figure out where the hell they were playing this football game. But for some reason, I kept thinking it was in Vegas. It was Allegiant Stadium because they had All-State. The ad on the field, I'm thinking All-State Stadium, but no, it was Allegiance in Vegas. But no, it was in Jerry World. Arizona State's great. That Scadaboo guy is fun as hell to watch. QB Levitt's really good. They've got a couple of good QBs. They got that kid from the portal. I forgot his name now. I think he was at Auburn last year.
Finley?
No, it's not Finley. TJ Finley is somewhere else.
He's transferring again.
Yeah, he's transferring again. I don't remember who it was, but it's a guy that we all know. For some reason, I can't remember his name. But Levitt played well. No. I really dig Arizona State. They're fun to watch. They're a good overall team.
They're trouble.
Well, yeah, Matt Farrell on Twitter is like, oh, Arizona State's going to win the dude, shut up, okay? He's like, no. I was respectful to the guy, but he's been known to be a jackass when it comes to college football. But they played good. Scadaboo's like, I'm the best running back in America. And I'm thinking, no, you're not, but you are fun to watch, so I'll give him that. Yeah. And, they were picked, I think, beginning of the season,
they were picked
last. So a Pac-12 team joins the Big 12 and wins it. A Pac-12 team joins the Big 10 and wins it. A Big 12 team joins the SEC and comes in runner-up. So things are being shaken up. I mean, of course, these are some of the, I guess I can't really say Arizona State, but in Oregon's case, in Texas's case, you're looking at two of the best teams in those conferences coming to a new one, so you knew they were going to be good.
Right. Well, I guess we could.
And I didn't see any of this, by the way. I had a lot of stuff going on today, family-wise, so I didn't see any of the bowls. I caught the playoff selections in matchups, saw that Alabama didn't make it, which I thought was the right call. I know they put them in, and I think that everybody and their mothers was doing whatever they could to get Alabama in.
And it just didn't go work out.
It did, and you know what? They were my pick to win the national championship, and I kind of felt if they got in,
they might win the
damn thing. Yeah. They have the ability, they have the talent to do it, but I didn't think they should have been in based on what they did on the field this season, and the committee agreed. So, we'll talk about that. Are we going to go to the bowl games?
Yeah. So next week you got Army and Navy next Saturday. But that's not a bowl game. That's the predetermined game they have every year.
Yes, which is a great game, a great rivalry, but usually it's not always the most exciting game.
It's going to be pretty exciting.
It should be pretty exciting. It started to get kind of bad when they both just ran like the triple option wishbone, and it was kind of like a little boring. Yeah. Then sometimes they started throwing it around. Like Navy throws it around a little bit more now.
Yeah. All right. Well, starting next Saturday, we got our first bowl game. It's the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. It's South Alabama at Western Michigan. They're playing in Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama. So that's basically a home game for South Alabama. I don't really know much about either one of the teams, but since it's a kind of a home game for South Alabama, I'm going to go South Alabama.
Give them the edge on that one. Tuesday the 17th, Memphis at West Virginia. They're playing in Frisco, Texas, Toyota Stadium.
I'm going with Memphis.
Probably, yeah, they're ranked. I mean, it's the Frisco Bowl. Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Moving right along, we got the Art of Sport LA Bowl. Cal's taking on UNLV.
I will go with UNLV as long as their guys are there. If they don't go in the portal, if they don't kind of check out because they didn't win the conference championship game, I'm going to go with UNLV. They're a good football team. They got a lot of talented guys. They work the portal just as good as anybody else. They've got a really good defense, in my opinion. Probably they kind of ran into like a really, really good Boise State team.
You think about UNLV, it's Vegas. That's got to be a fun place to go to school at. Just to kind of be in the vibe and the mix of that area.
Growing up, they were always a basketball school.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. The RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl at the Superdome. Georgia Southern against Sam Houston.
Two of what used to be Division One AA's powers. Those two teams have accounted for most of the Division One AA national championship champions, I would say, in the last 2 decades. Yeah. I'm going to have to go Sam Houston State there, though.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. Ohio at Jacksonville. It's the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. It's going to be in Camping World Stadium in Orlando.
Nice stadium. I have no idea who's going to win that game.
No, don't know anything about these teams. How about Tulane at Florida? What an interesting matchup. Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Raymond James Stadium.
Tampa, so it's basically a home game for Florida. And I'm interested in this one, particularly on Florida's part. So they're going to have guys in the portal. But the guys on the team who really are making hay are the young players. So they should all be there. Yeah. Tulane, I saw they had a couple of guys enter the portal today. Don't really know. I hadn't really watched Tulane much. I don't know what kind of contributors they are. Yeah. But this could be one of those games. You see it every single year. There's a lower level bowl. It's not like a garbage bowl, but it's not like one of the bigger bowls. Right. It's a bowl where a team like Florida with a lot of young players and maybe some guys decided to stick around for their senior year. They play in a bowl like this. They get the win, catapults it to the momentum for next season. A lot of people think these bowl games, playoffs excluded, of course. A lot of people think of these bowl games as basically like the first game of the following, the next season. I don't really agree with that, but I do agree that you can use it as a springboard for momentum into the next year. And, Georgia did it 2020 against Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl. They go on to win the national championship the next 2 years. Yeah. And they had guys buy in and not, opt out of the bowl. Bounce. They didn't go pro. They decided to come back. Florida could be one of those teams. You never know. They looked really good at the end of the year. They went on a heater in recruiting the last, I would say, 6 days. And got 2 high-level 4-stars on signing day and a safety and a defensive lineman. So, things are looking up for them.
I agree. Okay, so it's the Battle of Indiana. Indiana at Notre Dame. They're playing at Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah, Indiana's in it.
The first playoff
First
matchup.
of the playoff games, and I know that the coach was kind of hemming and hawing, like, why don't they get a playoff game? They've lost 1 game.
Well,
and, look, I'm not going to agree with the guy. I'm not going to disagree with the guy. He said basically our name's Indiana. If it was Michigan, we'd have a home playoff game.
Absolutely.
I'm not disagreeing with them, but I'm not going to agree with them either because their schedule is garbage. Now, we've said it many, many times. You play the schedule you're given. It's not their fault that every team they played sucked other than Ohio State and Michigan. Okay? And at the time, Michigan kind of sucked too.
And Notre Dame, for that matter, who'd they play?
Nobody really.
Their only loss is to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, they beat
Texas A&M.
They beat A&M. That's probably their best win.
Yeah.
I have no idea who's going to win this game. My gut kind of tells me it's going to be Notre Dame, but I know where Indiana's coach came from. I kind of think he's going to have those guys ready to go.
I do believe as well.
But it's at Notre Dame, home game.
It's ABC Friday night, almost 20th.
8 p.m. The winner of that game is going to end up playing Georgia, which we'll get to in a minute. But I'm going to have to go. I'm going to say Notre Dame. Kick a field goal at the end to win.
Probably so. SMU at Penn State, a noon kick in Beaver Stadium. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a whiteout, huh?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And look, they're talented. They can score. Penn State's got a good defense. Will the Penn State offense that we saw against Oregon show up for this game? I'm going to have to go with Penn State just because they're at home. Yeah. And, this is SMU's kind of first big dance.
Yeah, I don't see Penn State dropping this game.
I don't either, but I don't think Penn State's that good of a football team.
They can't. If something happens and SMU gets a big lead, I don't think they can overcome it. Moving right along, Clemson at Texas. This is another first-round matchup. That's going to be in Austin.
Yep, Clemson. I think Texas is going to win this game, and I think it's going to be easily won. However, Clemson's not an easy out. No. Their defense is pretty good, but it's the front 4. It's the defensive line. The linebackers have gotten better throughout the season. They're all white dudes, Sammy Brown and some other guy. They're really good players. Yeah. You can throw on them, though.
They're beatable.
They're definitely beatable. The offense, that kid's out. So the running back, how's Maffa going to be? He's a big bruiser. I think the Texas defensive line should hold up fine. Yeah. Be able to stop Maffa. Now, Klubnik. I think the only way they've got a chance to win this game is to run this guy until he falls apart.
And that may be what ends up happening.
That's the way they're going to have to win this game. I really think that's the only way they can stay in it. But they're going to be a tough out. Yeah. I don't think Clemson's going to be able to score 40 points on them. But I do think Clemson's going to win this game.
How about this one?
It's going to be Texas, rather.
I would probably go along with that. Tennessee at Ohio State, 8 o'clock at the Horseshoe. That's the game right there.
This is a ridiculously intriguing matchup. All right, so all the Big Ten fans have been saying, can't wait until the SEC team comes and plays in the cold. You ever been to Knoxville in late November?
Yep.
It's cold as shit, dude. It's not that much warmer than Columbus, Ohio, all right? In fact, you're getting pretty much the same fronts that move through. So I don't think the weather is going to be an issue for Tennessee. But this is a really good matchup because Ohio State's got a really good defense. Tennessee, when they're rolling, have a really good offense. They're up-tempo. They're fast. They've got a great run game. They've got good wide receivers. Everybody should be healthy now because you're looking at, going on 3 weeks. They didn't have to play this past week. Yep. Going on 3 weeks. The defense is really good. Probably the best overall front 7 in all of college football. You can throw on them. If you can protect your QB, you can throw on them. But I kind of saw what Michigan was able to do to that Ohio State offensive line. They got some guys out. Homeboy from Alabama's out with an Achilles. I don't know what the tackle situation is going to be like. They might need to get their offensive line situation settled in a hurry because these dudes will rush the passer. And you got to be able to block them. You can block them, you can throw them.
That's right.
But Tennessee's a really good football team defensively, and they're kind of like Jekyll and Hyde on offense. If their run game gets going, if that Samson cat starts to go, it could be a long day for Ohio State. Yeah. I still expect Ohio State to win. I'm going to say no wide left this time. I'll say just like the Penn State game, they kick a field goal to win.
I kind of like Tennessee in this game.
I kind of do too, but since it's at home. Now, if they lose this game,
Ryan
Day's probably getting fired like that evening, like midnight press conference. Ryan Day's gone.
He might get run out of
he might just say, like, fuck it, dude. Like, here's the headset. I gotta get a plane. I'll see you later. Okay. Take the high road.
The Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina at UT San Antonio. It's going to be in Conway, South Carolina. Myrtle Beach.
What the hell's that?
South Carolina.
I know, but like
Conway. It's
I mean, can we go there?
Yeah.
Like, how many hours is that from here?
Conway's probably 5.
It's on a Monday though. I gotta work.
Yeah.
Well, I got like 2 weeks vacation left. I could take that day off. It's 11 a.m. We have to sleep over.
How about the famous Idaho Potato Bowl here? Let's go to Boise and go watch Northern
Illinois, man. I like Fresno State. There's a handful of teams in the country that aren't very good, but there was a time where they might have had good players.
Yeah.
So this is how old I am. A long time ago, I was watching these guys because San Diego State had Marshall Faulk, and they had a couple of good wideouts as well. And I liked Fresno State. I thought the Bulldog logo was cool. I was like, oh, man, that's like one of the cooler Bulldog logos, right? And I've always just kind of dug watching Fresno State. They come on, late at night, like on a Thursday or Friday. I'd watch that thing. Yeah. They're just one of the maybe handful of teams across the country that, for no reason other than just some weird reasoning, like I like the uniform, I dig watching these guys. So I'm going to say Fresno State wins this game.
Sounds good. South Florida at San Jose State. They're playing at the Hawaii Bowl.
When in doubt, if you're looking at teams from the South versus like the West Coast, always go with teams in the South.
Yeah.
When in doubt.
Yeah. Thursday, December 26th, you got Pittsburgh at Toledo. It's going to be at Ford Field. It's the game above Sports Bowl. Don't know.
I'll go with Pittsburgh.
I would too. You get the Rate Bowl, Rutgers at Kansas State.
The what bowl?
The Rate.
Okay, I thought you said something else.
No.
Who's sponsoring this?
P.
Diddy?
Yeah, Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona.
I'm going with Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State as well. Arkansas State at Bowling Green. They are playing in the 68 Ventures Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. We've been in that stadium.
We have.
Yeah.
I've been in that stadium more than a few times. I'm going to go with Arkansas State.
Arkansas State sounds good to me. All right, Friday, December 27th, you got Oklahoma at Navy playing in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. They're playing in Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth.
What day? Just the date?
It's Friday.
Okay, I'll be off. Oh, no, I probably won't be off.
Yeah. You got Tech at Vanderbilt.
That's going to be a matchup, dude.
Interesting game.
Very interesting game. Two extremely similar offenses. I mean, when I say extremely similar, almost identical type of offenses. Buster Faulkner is getting a lot of attention for bigger school OC jobs, smaller school head coaching jobs. His name's on a lot of short lists. If he sticks around, Georgia Tech's a good football team. Yep. They've got some guys. They did really good in recruiting. They did like 15th in recruiting. Vandy, though, great season. Can they continue that success? I know they dropped their last couple games.
The talent level finally caught up with them.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And I think there was enough film out there from some of the games that they won that teams are kind of like, all right, this is what they're going to do.
We can't lose to Vandy.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what they're doing.
I have no idea who's going to win this game. I guess my gut feeling is Georgia Tech. Probably. Just the way guys like Haynes King play. But I don't know. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Texas Tech is taking on Arkansas at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis. You get to see Arkansas.
No idea. I have no idea who's going to win that game. Pittman's back, so we'll see what happens.
His job. Syracuse at Washington State in the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, the Snapdragon Stadium.
So Syracuse has had a good season. All right, they're a solid football team. If I'm not mistaken, didn't the QB lead the nation in like passing or something like that. I think I heard that. And I was very surprised. I could be wrong. I thought that's what I heard, but they're a good football team. Kind of a weird thing about Syracuse, the Miami fans are all in their feelings right now. Number one, they got left out of the playoff because they lost to Syracuse. And at the time, unranked Syracuse, by the way, but it's a good football team. So Coach Fran Brown coached DBs at Georgia last season. Him and Kirby Smart are tight. Kirby Smart called him before the game and just offered words of encouragement. So Fran Brown is on the post-game interview after they won. He's like, thanks, Kirby, for what you said. Love you, buddy. Mutual respect there. It's a guy who coached under Kirby Smart's staff. Well, all the Miami fans are like, Kirby Smart was hoping we lose. And I'm like, do you not kind of know that they coached with each other last year? Like, I don't think they even paid attention. I thought it was kind of funny that they were all upset about that. But Syracuse is a good football team. I'm picking them to win this game.
Yeah. Texas A&M against University of South California. USC. Lincoln Riley. You got the SRS Distribution Las Vegas. Well, they're playing Allegiant Stadium.
Man, I love that stadium.
Yeah.
So this game is a game that I feel like SC can hang around in if and only if the draft eligible guys bail and they got a lot of dudes not participating due to the portal.
Yeah.
If they've got their players coming back and that want to play this game, if they buy in, they want to play in this game, A&M will beat them. And this could be one of the biggest epic beatdowns in history of college football.
Yep.
Well, who's going to show up for A&M? That's the question.
You just have no idea. Although I think they have bought into Elko's.
I do too. It's just like, are the draft eligible guys going to leave? Because this is that year. This is year 3, that huge year where they did all that NIL. Now, I would say 80% of the guys have already portaled out. Yeah. And there's a couple of the guys who haven't cracked the starting lineup. But I can still see a bunch of guys bailing early.
Yeah. Saturday, December 28th, UConn at North Carolina. They're playing at Fenway in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Now, Fenway Park is my hometown. It's a cool stadium. It's not the best place to catch a game in.
No.
For baseball, football, I've never seen a football game there. I've seen a hockey game there. Never seen a football game there. Can't imagine it's any better.
No.
You go there for the nostalgia. Like, I went to a game at Fenway. That's cool, right? It sucks seeing the game there. I'm going to say North Carolina takes this game.
Probably.
I don't see UConn having any skill guys. I don't really see North Carolina. I
haven't heard anything about UConn in a while.
Yeah, I was surprised they were bowl eligible, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go with North Carolina. I heard a rumor that Bill Belichick has been offered the job. He took the 2 interviews, and I heard like 2 days ago that if offered, he will accept. Heard this morning that that maybe they haven't offered, but they're going to offer him the job. Belichick comes to North Carolina. He does not going to coach this game.
No.
But they're going to win this game.
Yeah. Boston College at Nebraska. This is going to be the Pinstripe Bowl. That's going to be the Bad Boys Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. That's at Yankee Stadium.
I want to know if Raiola's transferring. I saw some stuff. I think it was fake, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still take Nebraska to win this game.
But
the QB for Boston College has played all year. He's transferred out.
Yeah. Louisiana at TCU. The Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. It's going to be in University Stadium, New Mexico.
No idea who's going to win this game.
No, it's crazy how, a few years ago they're playing for the national championship,
yeah, right?
And now they're playing at a no-name.
And, they should be able to recruit. Texas is fertile recruiting grounds. They can be like a lot of those teams that get some of the under-radar guys. You can get a lot of guys, a lot of the good players from Oklahoma kind of get overlooked.
Yeah.
They can get guys from the surrounding states. They can recruit dudes.
Yeah.
They should be better than they are.
I agree. We got the same head coach, same coaching staff. I guess they just had a bunch of seniors there ready to play.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fell just right. Iowa State's taking on Miami. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, that's going to be Camping World Stadium down in Orlando.
Miami. Just like I kind of mentioned with A&M. Who's going to stick around and play this game? The Iowa State guys probably will. Not many of them are going to be NFL guys. The senior leadership, they're role play guys. They're just program guys. I suspect they'll stick around, most of them. What about Miami? Is Cam Ward going to stick around? Are these guys, Restrepo, are these guys going to stick around? the other wideout that's really, really good that's had some ankle injuries. Are they going to stick around and play, or are they going to focus on their NFL? What about portal guys? So this could be a game where, and I'm not saying like if Iowa State, if this was to happen, Iowa State wins. It means something to Iowa State. It doesn't say anything about Miami because we all know, just like Florida State last year, they weren't coming with a full team.
Right.
Now I still think that game last year would have ended up the same way, not the score, but Georgia would have won. Right. It doesn't take anything away from these teams. You got to play with the guys that are there, and you have situations like this where they bring in a lot of portal guys. These dudes tend to bail, so I'm going with Iowa State in this game.
Let's see. We got the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Miami of Ohio against Colorado State. It's going to be
He's got his own bowl. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's living right, I guess.
See, this is BS in my opinion. BYU, Colorado. They're in the same conference.
Valero.
Right? Am I mistaken here?
Yes. So why are they playing together?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. They're going to put two closely ranked teams together, 17 BYU and 23 Colorado, in a bowl game in San Antonio. It'd be a fun trip for both fan bases because at least San Antonio will be a little bit warm compared to where the hell these guys are at now in Utah and Colorado. Yep. But just like I've just mentioned with Miami, is Shedeur, Travis Hunter, are they going to stick around? Now, I heard a rumor that Hunter's going to play in the bowl game. What about Shedeur?
I think he's playing.
If those dudes play in this bowl game, I suspect them to win. I think BYU is a good team. Yeah. Just like Iowa State, they're not going to have a lot of guys leaving early for the pros. They're going to have a lot of good players, a lot of program guys. I think BYU would win this game if this wasn't a bowl game. I see this with Dion, the recruiting class he's got, the portal class he's put together, the NIL, the momentum, Travis Hunter, possibly Heisman Trophy winner. I see Shedeur and Travis having like a big fireworks blowout type of game.
I agree. Marshall's taking on Army at the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Kind of Army's got I guess the Independence Bowl is kind of
they always it doesn't matter what their record is, they always get these like kind of second tier bowls.
You'd think they would, since they had such a good season, you'd think they would get like at least maybe the Music City Bowl or just one of these other, New Year's Eve games or New Year's Day. But moving right along, Monday the 30th, Iowa's at Missouri playing the Trans-Pacific Music City Bowl.
That's a fun bowl. Anybody watching this still, we've been going for a while. If you're still watching, thank you. Anybody that watches this, though, if you have a chance, doesn't matter where you're from, if your team or a team you remotely like, or your friend's team goes to the Music City Bowl, go to that game. The times they play are all across the board from 11 a.m. to like 7 o'clock at night. I don't know why the Music City Bowl is like, they can't figure out what's going to be the game time every year. Stick with it. Super fun game. I mean, it's right there, right on Broadway. Yep. I mean, you get all the perks of going to Nashville and getting to watch a football game. So much fun.
And tickets are relatively cheap, $21.
$21, dude.
Yeah. Okay, we got the Reliant Quest Bowl, Raymond James Stadium. We got Alabama at Michigan. I'm thinking
lame. They played last year. I can't stand when they do this. I cannot stand when they make the same two teams play in a bowl twice. I know last year was the playoffs, but it doesn't matter. I expect Alabama to roll. Yep. I don't care who they have going in the portal.
They're going to roll.
The only way I see this going, they're going to roll. I mean, because the backup QBs have been there a while. Michigan's basically playing with nothing on offense. The defensive guys, who's portaling out, which guys are going to say, appreciate it. I won a title 2 years ago. I want to focus on the NFL draft, and then those guys bail. Alabama's going to have some guys like that too, but Alabama's got much, much more talent on the roster.
I agree.
So I don't care who's playing quarterback for Alabama. They're mad as hell. They didn't make the playoff. Now they got to go to this New Year's Day game, 2 years in a row. Yep. They're winning this game.
Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Louisville at Washington.
No idea who's going to win that game. I would say Louisville, but they're bipolar.
Here's an interesting matchup. South Carolina at Illinois in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Sorry, Jerry, you're getting rolled. I love you, man. South Carolina's defense is too much. Illinois isn't going to be able to do anything on offense. And then, as good as Illinois' defense is, you're going to have Sellers running all over the place with Rocket Sanders and throwing at dudes. Sanders running and then Sellers throwing at dudes.
They're the one team nobody wants to play.
Yeah, they're that team. Yeah.
They didn't make the top 12. That's just because they lost one game they shouldn't have lost.
It could be a bloodbath.
Baylor at LSU. The Kinder's Texas Bowl.
I'm going with LSU. Yeah. They're kind of mad, too. They haven't had the great season. They're going to get a lot of portal guys. I think I saw 4 of them already today. I don't know who's going to go pro early and not play this game. Yeah. But I'm just going to go overall talent level. Dipshit Brian Kelly has recruited well enough to have backups better than anything Baylor's got anyway.
I agree. All right, and the first of the actual bye week games in the playoffs, Boise State plays that night to a team we don't know of as of yet. We'll find out.
What day of the week is that going to be?
That's a Friday night.
That's Friday night on
that's
the first?
Yes. No. That's New Year's Eve. That's the Tuesday. That's the Tuesday.
Tuesday, New Year's Eve. So the first of the winners of the first round are going to play by Boise State, and that's going to be on, I guess we would call it the right side of the bracket. We'll call it the Georgia and Boise State side of the bracket, which I feel is a little bit of the easier road for those two teams that had to buy, Boise State and Georgia. The other side, Arizona State's in it. Are they? No,
they're on the Oregon side.
They're on the Oregon side?
Yeah.
Arizona State and Oregon, those are the other two bye teams. And then Georgia is the night game. 8:45 at night. Come on, dude.
It's New York. It's the Super Bowl.
I know, they always do that shit, man. I got to work the next day. I think it ends at 2 a.m.
Yeah. And you know how Georgia likes to go in overtime.
I know, Jesus Christ. 8 overtimes, I'm going to be dead the next day. I hate that. They played Baylor one year, and I stayed up and watched it, and I was
How many bowl games they got?
But these are all the games that are going to be the bye. Whoever wins that first round are going to play with the bye.
And then you got Duke at Ole Miss. They're playing in the Texas Slayer Gator Bowl on the second.
I have no idea about Ole Miss, but I expect them to win. But you never know who's going to show up.
And then you got the First Responders Bowl. You get North Texas and Texas State. Then you got Minnesota at Virginia Tech. The Duke's Mayo Bowl.
That's a cool bowl. I like when they dump the mayonnaise on the coach that wins the game, which is always fun.
And then you got Buffalo.
See PJ Fleck get dumped with mayonnaise.
Then you got Buffalo at Liberty and the Bahamas Bowl. They're playing in Nassau. It'd be kind of interesting place to watch
football. Then Thursday, January 9th. Friday the 10th, we got, I guess, third round playoff games?
Yep. You got the Orange Bowl and Cotton Bowl.
And Monday the 20th is the granddaddy of, well, I guess you can't say that. It's the Rose Bowl, but I always call it. It's like the big games in Atlanta at the Benz, which is one of the greatest stadiums there is.
It is a great venue.
God, maybe Georgia, Texas plays again, second time.
I guess after
third time of the season, second time in the Benz.
We'll do a video after the first round of the playoff and see how everything sorts, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a lot of bowl games to talk about as well. But season's been fun. Yeah. We've discussed it before. A lot of parity. Yeah. The transfer portal and NIL have given teams that really didn't have the ability to compete without building for multiple years, which is extremely difficult. It's given them the ability to compete right away. You're kind of seeing that. You're seeing teams in the playoffs, in bowl games, that weren't as good as we kind of thought they were because a lot of the depth had just bailed to go somewhere else, And we're going to see more of it. Yeah. Portal is opening soon. Was it tomorrow or the next day? No. I don't know. Guys are already announcing. A lot of guys have announced today. The playoff teams, obviously, the window's longer, but there will be players from all of those playoff teams announcing tonight and tomorrow, I'm sure. So we'll see who's left. Yeah. But those guys are going to go, if you're a player on one of those, well, not maybe all, let's go Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, you're a highly ranked recruit. Mm-hmm. And if you leave, you probably, could be the best guy on your new team. Like, what is it, A.J. Harris? One of the best corners in the nation was at Georgia last year. Didn't see the field. Now he's one of the best corners in the nation for Penn State. So, we could be seeing these guys next year.
That's right. Well, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you here in the next week or two and discuss more of what's going on in the world of college football.
It's been a fun season.
Yep.
See ya.